Dear student, welcome to this session on General Introduction of Medical Parasitology. Medical parasitology is a science that deals with organisms living in the human body and the medical significance of host-parasite relationship and also the means of fighting to them that one can propose. A parasite is a living organism which takes its nutriment and the other needs from a host, while a host is a living organism which support the parasite. There are three goals of parasitology. The first one is biological goal, the second one is clinical goal, the third one is preventive or prophylactic goal. For biological goal, you have to understand about the morphology of the parasite and the consequence of its presence into the human body. While for clinical goal, you have to understand about the semiology of the disease caused by the parasite and the diagnosis of those parasitic disease and even the curative treatment of those parasitic disease. For preventive or prophylactic goal, you have to understand about the protection of the health man against the parasitic disease. Infestation. When we talk about infestation, it means the invasion of a living organism or environment by the parasite, and it involves determining a condition and the other supporting factors. For determining a condition, it means the parasite must be there itself. It means you must even have the intermediate host. You remember the intermediate host, they help in the existence of the parasite. And you must even have the vectors. Remember the vectors, they are used in the transmission of the parasite from one host to another one. We must even have the animals which can lodge parasite and disseminate the parasite. There is also factors which can support the infestation, and those factors can be on general nature or individual nature. For general nature, you have to understand about geographical factors, climatic factors, and also anthropological factors. In anthropological factors, it is about mode of life, quantity and quality of food. You have to understand about religious practice. And you have also the factors which are related to the individual nature, which are the receptivity of the individual health, his resistance to the infestation, and the evolution even of the disease, which can also depend on the sex, it can depend on the age, it can depend also on the professional of individual. For the age, remember, there are some parasitic disease which are most common in the adult person and the others are most common in the childhood period. And also for the sex, some parasitic disease are most common in the female while the others are most common in the male person. There are different terminology which are used in parasitology. For example, the terminology related to the parasite, there is ectoparasite. When we talk about ectoparasite, those are the parasites which live out surface of the host, and you can talk about the ticks. And there's also endoparasite. Those are the parasites which live inside of the host. On that case, you can talk about Ascaris lumbricoida, you can talk about Plasmodium species, etc. There is also obligate parasite. For those parasite, those are the parasite which is completely depend on the host during a segment or during a segment of its life cycle. Here, let us talk about Plasmodium species. Plasmodium species is an obligate parasite and also they live inside of the host. There is also some definition related to the hosts. We have definitive host. When we talk about definitive host, those are the hosts which support a parasite in the adult stage and where the parasite undergoes a sexual reproduction. There is also intermediate host. Those are the hosts which can support the larval stage of the parasite, and it is into those intermediate hosts where the parasite undergoes the asexual cycle of development. There is also accidental host. This is the host under normal circumstances, they are not affected with the parasite. There is also a vector. When we talk about the vector, usually, most of the time they are insect or other arthropod. In those vectors, we can find the mosquito, can find the tsetse can find the tick, can find flies, can find lice, etc. And is an agent usually an insect that transmit an infection from one human host to another host. They can transmit this parasite by mechanical vector or they can transmit it as biological vectors. For mechanical vectors, it is used to describe a vector which assists in the transfer of the parasitic form between hosts, but it is not essential for the life cycle of the parasite. While for biological vectors, those are the vectors which assist in the transfer of the parasitic form between hosts, but also they are essential in the life cycle of those parasites. There is host-parasite relationship or interaction. In this part, we are going to talk about symbiosis. When we talk about symbiosis, it is an organism that spends a portion or all of its life cycle intimately associated with another organism of a different species. It is considered as symbiote. On this relationship is called symbiosis, which is symbiotic relationship. And in the symbiosis, there are different common type of symbiotic association or symbiotic relationship. There's mutualism. When you talk about mutualism, it is the association in which both partners are metabolically dependent upon each another, and the one cannot live without the help of another one. However, no one of the partners suffers any harmful from the association. There is also commensalism, which is the association in which the commensal takes the benefit without causing injury to the host. Here we can talk about the most normal form, which is in a human body. We have also parasitism. This is the association where one of the partners is harmed and the other lives on at the expense of the other one. There is also some effects which are caused by the parasite on the host. We can talk about direct effect and indirect effect. For direct effect, there is mechanical injury, meaning the parasite can cause injury on the host. There is also the deterior effect of toxin substance. It means the parasite can even secrete the toxin to the host. There is also the prevention of nutriment, fluid, or metabolite. It means the parasite can even take the nutriment, take the fluid, or any other nutriment which can be used by the host, and the parasite take it. It means there is the prevention of nutriment or any other fluid. It can be also indirect effect of the parasite on the host, where there is immunological reaction, which means when there is presence of a parasite into human body, remember the human system will react and there is immunological reaction. They can also cause the excessive proliferation of certain tissue due to the invasion by some parasite, which can also cause tissue damage in man. There is also the factors which can contribute to the spread of the parasite. The parasite can be spread because there is inadequate sanitation, there is unhygienic living condition, or there is fecal contamination of the environment. They can also be spread because there is lack of health education. There is maybe insufficient water and contaminated water supply. There is fear to control the vectors, which can due to the ineffective resource. It can be to the ineffective intervention. It can be to the insecticide resistance. It can be also due to the lack of resource, and it can be caused by the suspension of surveillance, and it can due to the control measures which are poor. This condition normally it will occur during the war. It can even occur during conflict. There is also poverty. Poverty also it is one of the factors which can contribute to the spread of the parasite. It can be malnutrition. It can be also some parasite can increase also the susceptibility due to the coexistence of HIV infection. The person with HIV infection, they are immunocompromised. And remember, when there is immunocompromised, there is also lower immunity, which can lead to the infection or with many of the parasites. There is also development schemas, which is introducing an opportunity for vectors breeding and infection of the workplace. Example, poorly drainage irrigation, schemas, and also dam project. Those dam projects also they can cause the spread of parasite. Another factors which can contribute to the spread of parasite, it is also failure of drug to treat parasitic infection effectively. It means when a person is infected with a parasite, then they fail to be treated with the drug, they are going to continue to transmit those parasites to other person. It can be also to the climatic factors. Remember, when we are in dry season, there is insufficient water. And when we are in rainy season, there is many water, but which are contaminated. It can be also cooperation migration, which cause poor health and loss of natural immunity and exposure to new infection. You remember when there is population migration, remember the person can move from one area to another area, and they are going to be exposed to the other environment, they are going to be exposed to the other condition of life. In that case, they can also be contaminated with the parasite. The parasite can be transmitted through different ways. It can be transmitted direct body contact or person to person or horizontal transmission. When we talk about horizontal transmission, it means by touching, by kissing, or by sexual intercourse. While vertical transmission is from mother to fetus transmission. The parasite also can be transmitted through blood transfusion. The certain parasite like Toxoplasma species, like Leishmania species, and Trypanosoma species can be transmitted through transfusion of blood or blood product. They can be also transmitted through autoinfection. For autoinfection, it means a person can infect herself again, can infect himself. It means this internal auto-infection. On that case, can talk about Taenia sorium or Anthrobium vermicularis. They can be also fecal oral route. For fecal oral route, they can involve direct contact. Example, a person does not wash his hand after defecating and then shakes hand with someone. And on that case, they are going to transmit, they are going to spread the parasite from the hand, from the unwashed hand. They can be also vehicle transmission, such as through water, through food. They can also be through vomit, it means the inanimate objects such as cups, towels, bedding, eating utensils, bedding, etc. The parasite also can be transmitted by penetration of the skin and the mucosa. They can even be transmitted by the vectors. Remember, the vectors can transmit the parasite as mechanical vectors or as biological vectors. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you for participating in this session, and I hope this knowledge will going to help you in your daily activities while you are helping the community, while we are helping our population to prevent different parasitic disease, especially based on the transmission, especially based on the factors which can contribute to the spread of parasitic disease. Thank you.